guys, so this is going to be the start of my Beanie Garage YouTube channel. We're going to be working on some Volkswagens, BMWs, Mercedes mostly for right now. That is going to be the start of the series of this channel. I have a video that I'm going to add on to this one of what the cars are and what our plans are, what our original plans were, how we got them in general, how much we paid for them, how much I talked the guys down, talking down tactics, just kind of go over some things, and then obviously we will start rolling into what exactly we are doing and start working. This is going to be a father-son project with my dad. We've never really done anything really in-depth before. Obviously, I've had a bunch of cars he'd help me on. Anything crazy like this, though. So I'll give you a little backstory on who I am real quick so you have an idea of what Joe Schmo is working on these cars and videotaping them. I was in a vocational high school in a diesel program for a while, all 4 years of high school, and then I ended up going and working at a Firestone right when I got 18 and I was allowed to work on cars. Worked there for a couple years, and then went to a Goodyear tire place where I did a bunch of stuff too. Got bored of also just doing tires and oil changes. So I decided, you know what, I want to go to the dealer life. I worked at a Volkswagen dealership for about 4 months. Realized I really just didn't like that dealership, and just wasn't, I wanted to move forward. I wanted to move up, and just I didn't see the possibility of that dealership. So I reached out to a BMW dealership local to me and got the job there, and have been there for about, I don't know, a year and a quarter now, as this video is published. So far, I love it. I've been to 2 BMW University classes out in New Jersey. Really fun classes, love learning new things. Other than that, just a lot of backyard mechanic stuff, ghetto stuff, if you will, but working on the high-end Mercedes, BMWs, Volkswagen Audis. It's definitely broadened my horizon to a lot of things. I have a lot of stuff with Toyotas too. My family's a big Toyota family. And obviously I've had a lot of other cars I've worked on, just because of like either used cars that I get at a dealership or when I used to work at Goodyear and Firestone doing all the miscellaneous stuff. So other than that, that's my backstory. My father won't be talking too much on these videos, but I'll give you a little backstory of him real quick, at least from what I know. He did work at some oil change shops and stuff like that as a kid, and then throughout his life he's had a bunch of project cars. We've had a E39 540, we put a couple engines in, trying to get the right engine in it. We had a Toyota Camry hybrid that we bought, that we tried to basically fix up. It was totaled. For my parents' 5-year anniversary, he bought a Cobra, a 95 Cobra, and rebuilt that with my mother. We've had a bunch of projects. I've had countless other Volkswagens, and so our trek now is to find him a new quote-unquote daily driver and a little fun car to drive, and also something for me to drive as well when I get the stick urge. My Passat wagon that you also see a lot on the channel, that is a manual, but my main daily driver GLI, that is a DSG. I didn't always like the DSGs, but I decided, hey, you know what, I want some of the adaptive cruise control for driving back and forth to work because I got a long commute. Let's try the DSG. Never had it, always been into them, wanted to see what they're like. I don't hate it. Definitely not my favorite thing, definitely would rather have a stick, but it's definitely easier for the adaptive cruise control. But hence that, a little into the Passat real quick, just to give you guys a rundown. The Passat is a 2004 Passat wagon. I bought it back when COVID happened and didn't really love it, and then as I kind of owned it some more, drove it some more, played around with it some more, I ended up falling in love with it. And I had it for about a year and a half, and then my good friend actually needed a car, so I sold it to him. And let him have it for a while, and then he didn't end up needing it, and we couldn't stomach getting rid of it to someone that would just treat it like crap. We had a lot of memories with the car, a lot of time, a lot of money into it, so we decided, all right, I'll take it back. So I bought it back from him. and it's been a constant project ever since. The GLI, it is just a bolt-on car, no crazy thing. It's just lowering springs, tune, intake, exhaust, wheels, like it's nothing crazy. It is meant to be just a reliable daily driver that I can still have fun with. So, in saying that, I'm gonna roll over to the introduction video of the Mercedes that we will be working on, and hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks. Welcome to the start of the brand new YouTube channel, Beanie Garage, where we actually are going to be taking this W203 C230 Mercedes and that lovely C230 Mercedes and making one out of them. So, start off, we actually have this 2007 Mercedes C230 AMG Sport with the 2.5 liter V6 and the slush box automatic. Unfortunately, this car has a transmission problem with the valve body, and we cannot use any of the transmission from this car, but why we want to anyways, it's an automatic. This car has a really bad oil leak. You can see this thing is caked with oil everywhere. Seems like it might be coming up from up top, but we gotta clean it all off and figure out where everything's all coming from. You can see it's just absolutely soaked underneath. So, what we're gonna do, we're gonna spray some engine degreaser and some brake cleaner, clean everything off, and then once we do all that, then we'll let the car run and see where everything's coming from, and then know what to replace steel-wise or engine oil, something on this engine, and then we can obviously replace it, get it fixed, and then put it on the other car. So I'm not sponsored at all, but this gunk engine cleaner stuff, this works really well. The foamy stuff is what you really want because it really just gets in everywhere and just gets everything. Just hose everything all down. Because these like to leak from these cam plugs. This stuff doesn't hurt the engine, so suds it up. Just get everywhere you possibly can. And I do have a drip pan underneath to collect all the stuff so it's not getting in my driveway or my garage. Make sure to get all behind all the belts and all the tensioner and pulleys and everything, because oil is very thin. Not as thin as water, but it will get anywhere it wants to. So now that we got up top, we're gonna get in just a little bit here. Make sure everything's all clean. Remember, you can never use not enough, or like just keep going. Use as much as you possibly can. So this is all the products I have here. So let this sit, move underneath real quick. See if I can set you guys down. All right, see if I can get some more. Trying to get the oil pan too, because that oil pan's really fucking nasty. Trying to see where exactly it's leaking on that oil pan. I'll leave you guys down here. I'm gonna go back up top. This stuff does go really quickly, so be careful of how much you're using per can if you didn't get a lot of cans. Like, that's it for this can. I'm gonna just spray everything up here, use the rest of it real quick. Don't want to waste anything. Alright, that's about all that's left of this can. And then I'll crack open one more can just to do the oil pan. I'll show you guys that in just a second. I can go on the side over here. This will probably be easier. This shit is nasty. Ugh. Of course, the wind blows it right in my face. Spray a little bit on top again. Work your way down. You gotta be careful though with these oil leaks. What happens is when the oil leak gets into the alternator, because the alternator is from the bottom of the engine, and of course gravity is going to move all the oil down. These cars, of course, a lot of German cars, they like to have it all on the bottom. It actually will damage the alternator. I'll show you real quick what I mean by that. So that is the alternator right down there. And so what happens is when the oil leaks down into it, it's all like electrodes and it's all a bunch of wire loomed up to make everything work. And unfortunately, when oil gets in there, they start gumming up and then of course they don't work. So yeah, we're gonna let this sit for a little bit. I'm gonna come back to you guys in a couple minutes once this is kind of soaked in and does its job. Real quick actually, while I'm letting all this do its thing, go over a couple things actually. My good friend from I was in high school with in middle school, he had a W203, I think it was a C280 or a C230, C240. It was an all-wheel drive model, I believe. He gave me a bunch of parts just to have, because he doesn't have the car anymore, and just to try and support the project, which is awesome. Very much appreciated. Alex, if you're watching, much appreciated, man. Basically a little rundown. You got me a brand new radiator, all this stuff from FCP Euro, which is where I like to shop for my Volkswagen. New, I think this is a vacuum hose. Yeah, breather hose for the PCV system, and a new dash DIN for an aftermarket radio. And then in this box is the hubs for the wheel bearings, and then a couple other things, brake pad sensors, a new climate control thing. And then over in this box over here, genuine Mercedes valve cover gasket, which is awesome. Thank you very much, because these actually we do need. And then I think it's a lower control arm, a CV axle. I think everything that those two suspension drivetrain components, those are for all-wheel drive, unfortunately, so we can't use that for this car. But regardless, when this car gets scrapped, once we're done with it, we will be putting a bunch of weight in it, trying to get some more money for the scrap. Which I will share with you guys a different video of what we're doing with money wise and how much all this is going to cost and what the end goal is, and I'll share that with you. In the meantime, also, not to get too sidetracked, but that car had a dead battery, so I did have it on the trickle charger. Looks like my father actually took it off the trickle charger. Not sure if it started to stink or something, but we're going to find out one more time. Always remember, positive goes to red and negative black. That's not too warm. That's not too warm. When this stuff starts getting warm and you see the battery swelling and some stuff coming out of the vents, or maybe this lid where all the acid sits popping off, disconnect it, go put it outside. Do not leave it indoors. Long story short, I had a car where I worked at BMW that I left the battery charger on overnight. Luckily, they are smart chargers, but for whatever reason, this battery's a little bit old. And it stunk out the shop because all of the gases and vapors that smelled like rotten eggs, and unfortunately kind of messed up the car a little bit, but we ended up using the ozone machine that you can get, and it completely got rid of the smell, thankfully. So not all the technicians are perfect. They all make mistakes and all have things that go wrong. So remember, if you're making mistakes, it's all part of being a technician and being a mechanic and everything. Non-chlorinated or chlorinated brake parts cleaner. I think the non-chlorinated is also honestly better. This stuff kind of lingers around the chlorinated stuff. What happens is it basically just kind of stays around like a little tacky film. I don't love it, but it does work still, no matter what. So be careful. Obviously, when you're not paying for this brake clean at a shop, you kind of just hose it. So when you're by yourself and you're paying for it, you kind of be a little more genuine with it. So just gonna go through, get everything. Remember, work your way from the top down, because that's how gravity's gonna pull it. And if you're working from the bottom up, you're just gonna make a mess and waste the brake clean that you just used. And now you're gonna spend more money and more time brake cleaning everything else. So like I said, remember to work your way from the top all the way to the bottom, because that's the way gravity's gonna take it. And do be careful with brake clean. It is like basically rubbing alcohol at some points. So be careful what exactly you're spraying with it. In this case, I don't really care all that much what I'm spraying because a lot of the stuff is either gonna get replaced or we have parts from the donor car. So not too worried. And also, I've done this for years and never really had a problem with it. So just be careful in your own circumstance of exactly what you're doing. I definitely always read the dangers on the back of the can. This stuff is really bad for your eyes and your mouth, anything to do with your body. Really should be wearing gloves. I should also be too. Just being a little lazy this morning. It is about 8:30 on a Saturday morning. See, only that much time. We've only been in the video for about 2 minutes now, and I'm already almost done with the can. So this stuff does go fast if you're not paying attention. But like I said, gravity will bring it down. See, there goes the can, already done. Let's just see a little better. We're gonna take these intake hoses out. Careful, these are wicked brittle on the inside. It's just wire meshed holding them together, really. Like I said, luckily we have all the parts car to go through. So see, they just get stuck. Yeah, of course it pulls the whole thing through. Like I said, these are super brittle. See, it's just pulling apart. So, and this one's already got oil on the bottom from the oil that's being slung out from the belt. Yeah, but this just clips right in, so we're gonna worry about this. I'm gonna go back through and re-clean this a little bit more. All right, guys, so we're gonna try and clean out the bottom of the car now. See if we used all that. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's doing the job. Oh, that's the subframe. But of course, I'm not following my own advice. I'm working from the top all the way down, so do that. Always be wearing safety glasses with this stuff. Stuff is really not good for your mouth, eyes. You should breathe in, honestly. You probably should be wearing a mask when getting really up and close with this stuff. Gonna hit it with the hose now. Don't go crazy with water. If you go crazy with water, you're gonna get it in places you don't want. Be very gentle with when you're doing this. If you have hot water, awesome, because hot water obviously loosens stuff up a little bit better. I luckily do have a hot water spigot in my garage. Very big plus. Remember, go very light. You don't want to go crazy. We do have the intake holes blocked up. Be mindful of where you're standing, where you're gonna be. When you're underneath the car, you only gotta worry about where you're spraying stuff because it's kind of just underneath the car. Water gets in underneath the car anyways. As long as the alternators not right at the bottom, you don't gotta worry about too much. You can use whatever high pressure you want. People usually power wash this kind of stuff. I'm just not doing that because I want to make sure that it's not ruin anything. one thing to keep in mind as well, if you are doing this to sell, is when you're dumping oil and water all together, as long as you're not dumping a lot of oil in your catch can buckets, you're okay to mix water and coolant. But if you have a lot of oil, don't do that, because a lot of places won't recycle that kind of stuff. They're very picky about it. So just from that, you can see how much cleaner everything is up here than the underneath. It's really wet, but we're gonna use a blowgun and an air compressor and really blow everything off, make sure it's all nice and clean. Fortunately, there's not a lot of space in here. Me and my father were talking about taking the front clip off and moving out of the way. But unfortunately, there's lines on both sides, and you kind of really can't just push it aside. So you kind of have to just do your best with what you got, unfortunately. Actually pretty clean in here now. I'm gonna continue doing some cleaning underneath it. So we're trying to figure out what this oil leak is. When we turned it on, and seems like all the oil is coming out of the oil filter housing. BMW uses a very similar design where the whole oil cooler and the filter housing that bolts up to the block where coolant runs through, they all leak. So without making more of a mess, let's see, oil in this thing looks kind of milky. So I assume that some coolant is getting in there. But if you look at this gasket, it just does not look, it's definitely aftermarket. Usually they're all black, not red. So this is like an aftermarket, like Wix filter. I could probably figure it out if I looked at it more, but all these O-rings gotta get changed every single service as well. There's all different O-rings, and I think that is part of our problem. So we're gonna have the engine apart anyways. So I think we should do the front crank seal and all these seals in the front of the engine that are all like $10, $15 seals, especially while you're in there. You'd rather do it now instead of having the labor of putting it all back together later. And maybe we'll use the old oil filter housing out of the other car, depending on how many oil chunks are in there, because that car has a blown up engine. So we're gonna start undisconnecting some wires in the bottom. This right here goes to the dryer and the condenser. And then there's this plug right here that goes to the electric fan. Just this 4-pin right here. And then if you come up in here, try and get some light on this, so you guys can see. Let's see right here, there's this little tab. Kind of hard. This little tab right here, you push that in and then lift up on the fan, and it pops right up like that. Do the same thing on this side over here. And then fan should just come right out. Of course, it's gonna probably fight a little bit. You gotta get up on one side, over enough that you can swing it. Seems like the radiator hose is in the way. Sneak it right by. Boom. And what you want to do, you want to inspect the fan, make sure there's nothing actually wrong with it. This spins at such a high rate of speed that any little nick or crack in the fan will cause it to explode. Ask me how I know. Now that that's done, got these are power steering lines. This is how power steering cools. This hose right here, so the washer fluid reservoir, which does not look OEM, because it would say, yeah, transmission oil cooler. This is for, I think, the washer fluid, because it goes right into here. This is the washer fluid tank. So why that is routed there is puzzling, because that is actually very weird. I don't understand why that's like that. I don't know. That's interesting. Okay. We'll just keep chugging along. Drain the coolant, that's what we're going to try and do now. So crack the coolant reservoir, get our drip pan ready. What it is a little clip on the bottom. Just undo the little hose clamp clip. It's not an actual hose clamp, it's a little spring clip. A lot of all the German manufacturers use it actually. You can see it just goes over top, latches in, and holds the thing inside. And then, with any luck, we won't make an absolute disaster, but usually they do. Of course, it's gonna make an absolute disaster. The good thing though is this looks like it's greenish blue, more blue than anything, which is the correct color for this car. Of course, that's getting everywhere, but try and funnel it right into here. Do not let pets or anything drink this. It's sweet, but it will kill you. So it's already pretty much stopped. You can pull the hose out of the way. Alright, radiator is draining. Place the plug over here actually. You take the upper radiator hose out, which again is just this same old clip as the one on the bottom. This is actually a better angle to see. I try and leaving them on. They don't usually fall off. Kind of hard for them to fall off. If you're having troubles, you can slightly pry, but be careful. It is a plastic radiator end. So, and then this one, same thing. And here. Can be a pain, but sometimes, and then save that there. This looks like it's a metal revision on the thermostat housing, so we can wiggle right off that. Now, got our upper radiator hose kind of out of the way, and then we'll just undo it from the coolant reservoir. Now, our complete
radiator hose with a little bit of spillage. Drain that rest of the way into there, even though I got it a little place. Now we're curious to see if this car actually has that system or not. Start taking all this stuff apart.